Hi, here we are going to discuss about the chapter 5 web design technique. These are the learning objectives of this chapter that we will see about the common types of website organization. We'll also describe the principles of visual designs. We'll see who are your target audience, and we'll see how we can create a clear and easy to use navigation websites. We will also see how we can improve the readability of the text on your web pages. We'll see the graphics will be used appropriately on the web pages, and we'll also learn about the concept of universal design to the web pages. We'll see the web page layout design techniques, which one is useful for designing the websites. We will also see how to apply the best practices of the web design. Here you see one example. Overall design is related to the site purpose. So two websites are shown to you, and which one is applicable to you? See, one of them, this one, is having some picture being based on the kind of website. It has some navigation bar visible over here, right? So it is a combination of text, content, images, everything, and you can have some videos and audios also on it. The website title is also a little big, which is going to pick up the audience attention and what is the purpose of using the website. But the second one, if you see, it is basically the website where it is going to give you the kind of tutorials, right? So it depends on that what kind of website you are creating. So based on the audience, you need to design and you need to decide what kind of layout, what kind of structure you want to design for your website. So here we have the three kinds of website organizations. The one is hierarchical organization, linear, and the random. So we'll see all of three one by one. Now you see the hierarchical organization. As in any of the company, you have the hierarchy structure, like you have the manager, then you have assistant manager, and under the assistant manager you may be having a big team, maybe 10 or 20 people under it. So if any of the person under the assistant manager team member wants to contact to the manager, they have to contact first to the assistant manager, and then assistant manager can create an appointment between the manager and the team members. So overall, the manager is the main part of the organization or the company. Same over here, like we have a kind of structure. So you should have a company web page, a first page, which is known as your home page, and on the home page you will provide the link of the other pages. So if somebody want to direct from the home page to the about, want to see the contact information about that company, or want to know more about the products, so they can go via home structure. And based on the products, if you have the number of categories like it is shown over here, category 1 and category 2, so we can go by that also. So if you have to first of all click products link to go to that page, and then there you will find the category 1 and category 2 link. So that is a kind of hierarchical organization structure. So normally in the trend, if you are designing any kind of e-commerce website, so these are having this is the kind of structure they are using for the hierarchical organization. A clearly defined home page, navigation links to major site sections, and generally these are used for commercial or corporate websites. So this is in trend. Now next if we'll see the hierarchical and shallow. So it has a hierarchical and it has a shallow. So what you need to do, you need to take care of this thing, that you should not have too many links on the first page. If you have that, so it is basically confusing for your audience, right? So and too many choices are confusing and less usable website, as it said over here, right? So do not have so many links on your first page only itself. And if you can make them index nested to the other part, you can make it, but do not nest it too much of it also. I will say you should not go more than 3 layers of the organization. So like it said, try group navigation links visually into groups with no more than about 4 links. So they're still saying 4, but I'll say should not go 3, but 4 is still okay. Do not go more than 4, because if you go by that, your audience will be lost. And here you see another hierarchical and deep, as we are saying you should not have too many links on the home page, but here you see it does not have too many links on the home page, but it has a deeper hierarchy, which is a kind of confusing for your audience too. So here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is not a good structure of it. So if you see this one, 1, 2, and 3, 3 is okay, but this 5 is not okay. So always user interface you should follow. It's a 3-click rule, not more than 3-click rule you should follow if you wanna have a good hierarchical organization website. Now you see another structure, which is a linear structure. And what is this linear structure is? It is basically, it is connected one by one to each page. So if you have to go to the lesson 2, you have to go via lesson 1. Or if you have to go to the lesson summary, you have to read first of all home page, then lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3, because they want you to move one by one, step by step to the summary. So this is a kind of linear organization we can follow if you are planning to prepare any kind of tutorial website or touring website where you do not want your audience to skip any one of the steps and you want them to view all the pages in a sequential order. So in that case, you can have this linear organization structure for the navigation bar. Now it is a random one, so it is basically a kind of web organization, and it is basically useful if you are designing a kind of gaming website or some kind of artistic website where you need not to be at a particular page and from where you have to go and get into that another one. But this is not recommended for commercial website. As I told you, that hierarchical organization is the best organization for any kind of commercial or the e-commerce websites navigation. Now we'll see about the design principles. So the first design principles you need to take care of this is a repetition. So about the repetition. Repetition is you have to just think what things can be repeated, right? So maybe you are using one picture and this picture you are going to use 2 or 3 times on your website. So instead of making 2 or 3 copies of that picture, you can use that one picture 2 or 3 times. So that's you need to think of it. So how you can repeat your visual elements. Then you have to look for the contrast. So as it says, add visual excitement and draw attention. So basically you need to think of it, what kind of audience it and what kind of subject you are going to create a website. So based on that, you have to have a contrast on your website so that your audience will get excited when they will go on your website. Proximity, you have to just collect the number of elements which can be grouped together. The related items can be grouped together, so make that. And the alignment is really good, that your content has to be aligned. If you see over here on this, so they have a unique margin left before the text, right? They have the content, you can see these contents are aligned properly. So this is the another visual unit which you need to take care of it to align the content on your web pages. Now here is the accessibility concept, like what you should take care of it, because when you are designing a website, only one kind of people are not going to approach a website, right? Either you are talking about the audience your kids or senior citizens or the everybody on the teenagers, right? So there you may have some kind of accessibility issue. So in that case, what kind of accessibility you may face and how you are going to give them the benefit. So maybe you might have a audience, you might be having a person in your audience with physical disability, or maybe you are going to have a person who is going to have slow internet connection living in such area where they do not have good connections. Maybe person is using outdated computer, old computer, or maybe a person do not have approach for the computer, they're accessing the website using mobile phone, right? So these are the kind of things you need to take care of it when you are designing a website. So here is a design for accessibility. When you are designing, you have to work for these 4 principles. This is 4. So perceivable, your content must be perceivable, which is should be clear. Your content must be operable, so everybody should be able to access that. Everybody should be able to understand those content, and your content should be robust enough to work with the current and future agents. So it's working on the different platforms and the technologies. So it should work like this. Now when you're writing for the web, so you have to avoid long blocks of the text. Do not write the long blocks of the text. Just separate them or divide them into the paragraphs and the headings and the subheadings, right? If you have to list some points, so you should use bullet points. If you have multiple headings, then you have to divide. You have to just identify whether it is a heading or the subheading, or as I told you, avoid long blocks, so you can use paragraphs. So maybe instead of having one paragraph, you can divide them into 2 or 3 based on the need. Now your whatever text or the font you're going to use on your website, so you should use a common font, so nobody is going to face an issue if that font is not available on their system. Use an appropriate text size so that everybody can see. So 1 EM is recommended, and it is 100%, and the medium size that is recommended for the website. When you're using the color contrast on your website, so you should choose between text and background. So you should, whatever background you should have it on your website, it should go based on the your text, or the font color should go based on the background. Then use columns instead of wide areas of horizontal text. So that was the earlier concept, like people were having only 1 column website. Now it is not that. So the concept going on, either you should have 2 column website or 3 column website. So I have the pictures ahead which I'll show you in my lecture right now. What do you mean by 1 column or 2 column website? Because by showing the visuals, I will show you that. Another thing we are going to discuss over here about the hyperlinks. Do not write it down on your hyperlinks. Click here, so avoid that. Do not hyperlink keywords or phrases, not entire sentences, right? If you have specific word where you want to hyperlink, do the specific work instead of doing the complete sentence. And always check your spellings. Now we are going to talk about the color theory. So when we are asking you about or when we are asking you to take care of the color contrast and something, so it is really important for us to understand about the color theory. So here the color theory is basically the study of color and its use in the design. So you will see the wheel. In that wheel you have the 3 kind of colors, primary colors. So in the primary colors, basically you will see red, yellow and blue. So red, yellow and blue. These three are the common colors which is known as your primary colors. And when you talk about the secondary colors, which is your orange, violet and green, so these are your secondary colors. And if you talk about the territory colors, so yellow, orange, which is this one, this is your yellow, orange, you can say that. Then you can say red, orange, here it is. And then we can say violet, blue. So here is your violet, blue, right? And then we can say blue, green, yellow, green. All these are your territory colors. So these are the kind of color theory. And now here when we're talking about the color scheme based on the color wheels, like how you're going to choose this. So when we are talking about shades, tints or tones of the same color basically. So modern monitors can display millions of colors. Feel free to choose a shade, tint or tone of a color. In your this figure it is shows 4 swatches, right? So it is a yellow, a shade of yellow, a tint of yellow and a tone of yellow. So our shade of color is darker than the original one and is created by mixing the color with black. A tint of the color is lighter than the original color and is created by mixing the color with the white. When we are talking about the tones, so a tone of a color has less saturation than the original color and is created by mixing the color with the gray. Now when you are talking about the monochromatic color scheme, so how you're going to decide? This is a scheme which consists of the shades, tints or the tones of the same color. You can determine these values yourself or use an online tool provided over here. So let's go and click on this tool and see. So now you have you can choose color 1, then you can choose color 2 and then you can find the midpoint and blend of it. So let's see over here color 1. So if I'm choosing color 1, this one, and if I'm going to choose color 2, this one, right? And you want to create a midpoint, at which midpoint you want to create a blend of it, let's say 50-50. So I will choose 5 and then blend. So that is the exact blend come up for your color combination, right? So that's how you can choose. And let's say I want to create a more blend of it, so maybe 8, and in that case see you can have multiple blends of it, multiple colors of it. So and this is the kind of shade you can use on your website then. So we're gonna go back and now we'll talk about the analogous color. So it is basically to create an analogous color scheme. Select a main color and the 2 colors that are adjacent to it on the wheel. Now this wheel we already had discussed it. So when you design a web page with an analogous color scheme, the main color is the most dominant on the web page and the adjacent colors are typically configured as the accents. Now we talk about the complementary 2 colors. So complementary 2 color basically consists of 2 colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So the color wheel, we were talking about this color wheel, right? So when you design a web page with a complementary color scheme, choose one color to be the main or dominant color. The other color is configured to be the complement. Okay, so configure the complement along with color adjacent to the dominant color as accent. So that's how we can go for the color. Now here we have another color which is called, talk about the split complementary, and it is comprised of basically a main color, the color opposite it on the color wheel, which is the complement, and the 2 color adjacent to the complement. So if you go back to the figure 5.16 over here, it shows you a split complementary color scheme with yellow main and violet complementary, right? Yellow main and violet complementary here. So you can say red violet and the blue violet, right? We can do that way. So I'm going back to the page over here. We are talking about the triadic color scheme. So choose 3 colors that are equivalent on the color wheel to create a triadic color scheme. Okay, so in that case, maybe you can have blue green, which is teal color, yellow orange, and the red violet. You can create the color in that case. And then we talk about tetradic color scheme, which shows and consists of the 4 colors that are 2 complementary pairs. For example, the complementary pair yellow and violet along with the complementary pair yellow and green. And red violet make up our tetradic color scheme. So that's how we discuss about the colors. So now you can decide what kind of colors you want to choose for your website, for the color contrast of your website. Now here is the thing, implementing a color scheme. When you are going to implementing a color scheme, you have to choose one dominant color. On the base of that, you're going to decide the other parts of the website, right? So choose one dominant color, then use other colors in the color scheme as an accent color. So basically, if you're talking about the headings, subheadings, borders, and the list markers. So what is the dominant color? And based on that, you will decide your other accent colors for headings, subheadings, borders, list markers, and other content. You can use neutral colors also, such like white, off-whites, gray, black, or brown. So if you see most of the websites which is going to target everybody generally have the white background or the off-white background or gray or black or brown like this, because they are trying to have the everybody as an audience, right? So we talk about right now the different kind of color schemes. So do not restrict yourself just to have the web safe colors. You can use any kind of colors, either tint, shades, or tones of colors, which will go well with your website contrast. So here is the example over here for how you can choose and how you can find satisfactory color combination. So I will show you one, and these are the links given on your PowerPoint. You can go and check these links. So let me click on this first one and show you how you're going to choose the color combination. Here you see this is the website, right? When I click on it, here you can choose your one solid color. So this is the foreground color or the background color. You can choose it. Based on that, it will provide you what combination you have it and whether it's working or not. So based on this color combination, background color is white, foreground color is blue. So this is already selected. This is a ratio, contrast ratio is shown to you, and this is 8.59. That means 8.5, I will say that, to 1. This is a ratio of the color. And now you see, if you're going to write this kind of text, it is pass, showing you. If you're typing more larger text, it is also pass. If you are putting some input boxes and there you are going to have the text color, so this is also pass. So like this, what you can do the same thing over here. So whatever you think the contrast color you can choose, or if you already have the color code, you can type that color code here. So let me just change a bit here, and I'm just changing this color. Once you check it, then click on this tick mark, which is going to fix it, and then you see. So it is showing for the normal text, it is fail, not at all, it is pass. And if it is talking about the large text, so for this part it is pass, but this is not, and this one is pass. So this is not really a good contrast. You see, it is lower than 50% contrast ratio, right? So we have to go and find some good contrast then. So that is also not visible. If I'm gonna change my background color also, maybe it's gonna fit it well then. That's also not working nice over here. It's not changed. Okay. Seems like not change here too. Okay, that's change. That's not white now. But what I want, okay, I want really darker one here. So that is also not working on this background. Yellow is not working. Maybe I need a darker one, right? See here? So yellow is highlighted on the black, but yellow was not highlighted on the lighter color. So that's how you have to find a great combination for you, that how it is going to work. So on the black, generally almost every color go, but if you talk about, let's say, the red, that's not gonna go good. I'm just showing you. So let's say I'm going to have this red color and see. So see, it's not passed, right? It is not completely passed. So that red is not as much visible as it's supposed to be on, as yellow was visible properly, right? So that's how you can find the other websites also for doing the same thing. So now we are here back. So these are the two other websites. You can check them also for providing such kind of services, for verifying your sufficient contrast which you are planning to have on your website. So first of all, go and check that contrast on using these websites. Now here's the color scheme resources. So if you go and check, let me show you one. So they will provide you the color scheme, and this I already shown you. You can choose color 1 and color 2, and then it will give you the midpoint. So based on the midpoints, you can have the combination. So based on that, you can choose, okay, this can be a heading 1 color, heading 2 color, heading 3 color, or the paragraph color. You can choose that. So let me just select one color. If I'm choosing first color this one, and I'm choosing second color this one, and then I'm going to create the blend of it, maybe on the stage of 7. And then see, you have the list. So which can be the dominant color, you can choose that. So either of one you can take dominant color, and then you can have the variety of accent colors to put on your website. So these are helpful links. You can try those links to find out the contrast for your website, color contrast. So these are plenty of them over here. You can go and check those plenty of the websites. Now here is the color and target audience. So what does it mean? If you see these 4 designs, they are going to target different kind of audience. So the first design, if you see, this is basically the kids or the pre-teens design, right? Because they are kind of looking for some kind of more funny graphics, right? And here if you see, this is the kind of website which is going to appeal everyone, right? So now if your audience are kids or the senior citizens or everybody, right? So you should not choose any kind of one kind of design which do not appeal to other category. So that's a common one which gonna work for everybody. And now here you see the adults website, because adults do not want to see uh, uh, they are really into the technology, right? And they want to see more stuff, something like this, more calligraphy, more artistic way and all. If you're just appealing only to the audience, you're targeting only to the young adults, so you can go for this kind of design. But if your websites are only for the senior citizens, so they do not want such kind of websites. They want their website is simple, easy, clear, and easy to navigate, right? Because they do not want to put their head into a lot of trouble. So all the things has to be easy and clear and simple visible. So this is the design for the senior citizen if you are looking as a target. So this is the number one thing you have to decide what kind of website you are planning to design. Second thing, who is your target audience, right? Based on that, you will choose your color contrast and your design. And here is the thing, when you are using any kind of graphics or the multimedia, maybe any kind of audio or video, so file size and dimension matters a lot. So your file size, how big it is, so that matters a lot. Provide your robust navigation. There you should not have any broken links on it. When you're writing any content or you're adding any images, text images, you should always use anti-alias text. You should provide the alternate text, like so if you're adding any image using the img element in the HTML, then you should always provide alt tag, the alternate name of that image, right? And use only necessary multimedia. Do not think like you have lot of pictures and you want to show them. If it is not necessary, do not put that. The first thing, it will be a jargon or it will be a web of the pictures. Nobody likes that. Second thing, it's gonna take a lot of web space, right? It's going to kill your web space if you're going to have lot of multimedia or the images on your website. So use how much it is required. Here's the best practices for the graphic design. So be careful with large graphics. Always optimize your pictures. In my last video, in the last session, I told you then how you're going to optimize the pictures. So there are free softwares you can use to optimize the pictures, or you can use a subscription software. So there are Paint, which is a free software available with the Microsoft Windows. You can use that to optimize. There is a software, say GIMP on the Google. You can find it out, and this is also you can use to optimize the images. The other one, you have the Photoshop, which you have to buy a subscription for it. If you already have, you can use that to optimize the images. Always provide the alternate text, right? I'm repeating these things. Be sure your message get across even if images are not displayed. So if you provide the alternate text, that's gonna sort out your problem. Use on animation only and only if it makes your page more effective. Just you want to add the animation and maybe you are considering the audience like your senior citizen, they do not like any kind of complication on the web pages, so do not provide that. And if you're using any kind of animation, maybe your audience are going to have a low connection, a slow connection, or maybe they are using old computers, so that animation is not going to play, so they will be having a hard time. In that case, you should provide them a text description so that they can go and read that text description based on the animation if animation is not playing on their system. Here's an example of anti-alias text or the alias text. You can see this alias text. If you zoom out, that is pixelate, but this one is not pixelate. So if you're creating graphics using, always use anti-alias text. Now, as we told, always use necessary images and do not use multiple images. Try to reuse them, right, as we were learning about the repetition concept. And always optimize the images, so which is going to lower the size of the image and going to save your web space. Here is a web page design load time. If you want to check web page design load time, you can check it. You can open any web page and then you can just right click and inspect the window and you can see how much time it is taking to load your web page, so you can guess at the time. So here's the example I'm going to show you. If you go to your Google, so here we are on the Google now, and let's say I want to see CNN.com. I want to see the load time on that web page, right? So you can open any of your favorite website, and then we can view that. How we're going to view? So let me first of all close this ad from here. Alright, so I'm here now, right? So now what you're going to do, you're going to right click and use inspect. Remember that I'm in the Google Chrome, right? So based on the different browser, it will be different. When you say Google Chrome and use inspect, this window will open like this. Here your website is, and here your other stuff. Now here in this stuff, you will go to the network section. When you go to the network section, you see this, right? See over here. What is this now? Time. Here the time. So here are the content on the website, and here is the time to how much time these content took to load on the website, right? And these are the sizes of that particular content. If you see a 0 KB, that means a script and it's not uploaded, it's not loaded yet. So maybe if you hit a button, based on that it is going to load. Okay, so now I'm going to refresh my screen, the browser. Okay, and then you will be able to see this, what's going on. Now see here, my page is loading, and see how much time it is taking. Now you can see the download time at the bottom. Now see, this is the download time, document, content loaded time over here, right? So that's how you can find out like how much time it is taking. You can go to the performance monitor, the quick source, console. So there are many things you can go and check one by one. If I'll go performance here, I'm not recording now, it's memory. Okay, and if I'll click on, that is stopped. All right. So, okay, it got some error, that why it is paused. So, but this way you can find out how much time it is taking. It's looking at the bottom, right? How many resources have been loaded over here, how much data is transferred. So all these things you can notice from here on the network section. Okay, so that's how we can see. And now here we are going to talk about the pages design, as I was talking about the how you should design the page, either first column or this 2 column or the 3 columns. So here the one thing is, after designing the website, you should test in your multiple browsers, because maybe your website is working on the Google Chrome, maybe it's not completely coming up on the other browsers. So I will say like whatever browsers are going on in the trend, so you should pick up at least 4 browsers and you should go and check. So these are the common browsers you're using: Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, and Apple Safari. So these are basically common browsers everybody is using, right? Most of the target audience is using this. And then you should test at various screen resolution also. So maybe you should check on the mobile screen, you should check on the tablet screen, you should check on the laptop screen, 14-inch laptop, or the bigger size of the laptop or the desktop. How is it working? So we should check that. Now you should take care of the design, what kind of design it is, at look good, and it look good at various screen resolution or not. So first of all, one thing is it should have the centered page content, right? And it should be either a fixed or the percentage width. So here you're going to talk about navigation design. So you should have easy navigation. You should consider all of this. Navigation bar, you should have breadcrumbs, navigation. So this if you see this one here, like you have the, when you click on a particular link it will show you the path of that particular link. This is called the navigation, breadcrumb navigation. You're using the graphics for the navigation. Either you, instead of writing the words, you can use the graphics also for navigation. You can have dynamic navigation, so maybe when you go to that link, only then those links will be available. You can use that way. You can have sitemap, you can have site search feature tool, you can have skip to content hyperlink if somebody wants to skip. This is the wireframe. So basically, before designing any of the website, once idea comes into your mind that you are going to design a website, then you should think of designing a wireframe. So wireframe is basically what? It is a rough idea which you are going to design on a paper. So you can take a paper and pen and you can just draw, okay, here it should be the header, here I'm gonna put the logo, here I'm going to put the company name, there should my navigation bar go, and then on the page here the content will come up, here the image will come up, here the content will come up. When you go to the content section, here the first heading, second heading, or the content, and third heading, then content. So you can design a little idea. So it is basically what a wireframe is nothing. It is a blueprint of your web page. So there are the tools in the market also which you can use to design the wireframe. But if you are not a professional and you are just learning, or maybe you are you do not have a big project, so you can just go for the paper and pen and you can design your wireframe. So here's the web page design, page layout. So what we are doing over here, see, this is the one web page design. So this is a one column website where you have the content, right? The browser wide content. So this is usable but a little boring as it is told over here, right? So all of the content in one paragraph and you do not have more than to see anything. It does not have images and all, so it's not basically layout which is going in trend. Let's go and move for the second one. So now if you go and see for this one, this is the better one, right? What do you mean by the better one? So you have little visuals first of all, and you do not have the browser wide content. So your content are split into 3 columns now. So this is one column. So here you have more content to read on first page itself. So this is better, but I will see more design here. These are the best one. Now you can see here you have the 3 column website, but you have the more visuals on it. As I'm telling more visuals, that I'm not asking you to add more and more graphics and multimedia, as we're saying that you should restrict with the limited number of graphics and the multimedia. But in that case, it looks good. It has limited graphics, it has limited content, it has navigation bar, it is split into the columns. And if you see the other design, so other design looks also good, but here a little difference. It is a navigation bar over here and here is a navigation bar here, right? So it's just a change of the navigation bar, otherwise everything is same. Here the banner image is little big, here the banner image is little small based on the column size. So it is up to you what kind of design you want to have it. So you should design on a wireframe. So here we are going to learn how we are going to design wireframe. So there is an online, you can use Microsoft Word, you can use Microsoft Paint, or you can use paper and pen, or there are free applications on the internet which you can use. So let me use one application for you to show how we're going to do that. So here I do have a Draw application which you can use online. Okay, so here we are talking about not draw, we are talking about the wireframe.cc, which is a free online tool. So for creating a little design, you can use that. If you want to create more than that, then you have to buy the subscription. But here we are going to just create a one wireframe, we can use that. So click on it and our application will be open here. If you want to watch a demo, you can watch a demo to learn, but here I'm going to show you, so I'm going to close it. So this is the screen in front of you over here, and when you want to design, so let's say I want to design a web page. So this is the web page, this is the size of the web page I want to design. This is my browser window, the body of the screen, and here in the center I want a web page of this size. Now you can see here the number of options available which you can use it. So let's say on the top I want to add a header here, so I can draw a box, right? And then I can type over here, this is my header. After the header I want to design a navigation bar. As I told you that you can draw a box, so this is the size of the website or the page I want on the browser window. I want center aligned, so I put it in the center. But you see before, as I tried to put a box and that's disappeared, so I made a mistake. I made a mistake intentionally to show you that. So now click somewhere outside and draw another box, right? So when I'm trying to draw another box to create as a header, create an header and then select the box, which kind of box you want to create this. So this is a box I have created. You want to change the color of this box to show as a header, double click on it. And now you can choose the color. So maybe the red color I want it for the header. And now click somewhere. When you click somewhere and click back again, double click on it. Okay, and then you can add another box. So let's say you want to add another box, start drawing it. Maybe this is your navigation bar, like this. So when you select it, then you have to select the box again, double click over here to choose the color, what kind of navigation bar you need it, right? And then after that you can select, you can draw another box, not this one, you need to drag this one. Okay, click somewhere else and then try to get the plus sign to move it, and this will be the content area. So here I want to design in a 3-column website, so a 2-column website. So you have to design the columns like this, right? So and then you can choose the color. This is the 1 column I needed, and then you can design the another one like this, and then you can choose the box. You can choose color, maybe there's some different colors so that it will give you a clarity. Okay, this is box 1, 2 and 3. So I'm choosing different colors, and then if you want to shift it, you can match it like this. You can increase or decrease the size by clicking on the pointers over here, right? And then I need to draw a third one, so I need to get the plus sign here to get my third box like this, and then select the type of box, and here you can give another color like this, right? And then I want to draw a footer here at the bottom. I got the footer. Select the box and then double click on it and choose color. So that's the footer. Now you wanna add, like here you want to add an image, you want to add a logo and the text. So you can do that. Draw these things over here in a side, select the image box, and then you can drag it. You can drag this box over here like this. Here you want an image, you want another image, create an image, and then click on it and you can drag it wherever you need to do. So this indicates that you need an image at this place, right? You want some text, like you want to specify whether it is a header or footer. So here's the text boxes. So there's a text box and you can type here, this is a header, and then you can bring this text box like this here, right? So that's the way, same thing you can do for the other sections also, and you can create a wireframe for a page. So generally when we create a wireframe, if your website consists of 7 pages, 8 pages and 9 pages, so the wireframe will be created for each page, right? So wireframe is basically a first step to design a website. If you have clients, they are looking for a website, so you just need to talk first of all what kind of website they needed, what is their requirement, and after collecting all information from your client, then you have to draw a wireframe exactly what they are looking for, and then check with the client whether they are looking exactly same thing what you already had drawn on the paper, or you have such kind of application you can use it, right? You just need to check that. So what is the benefit of doing that? The benefit is that maybe you haven't drawn the wireframe and you start coding. So what happened when you start coding, your client do not like it, so you wasted your time in coding and the design is not approved yet, and then you have to make a lot of changes in the coding to code the page according to the client requirements. So do not do that. First of all, go for the design a wireframe, and then after approval from the client and start working on the coding part of the web page. So we are going back. Here we had discussed about the page layout, and we discussed about that how we're going to create the wireframe. Now here are the different layouts. So as I told you in the previous one that we like that center one, like you see this example, right? So this is now in the trend, the center aligned web pages, but here you have few examples. Now see this one. This is a one-sided web page. It is generally, if you do not align your web page center, it goes towards the left hand side, which is a fixed layout, you can say, and it is not up to the trend, right? And if you see the second one, it is fixed but it is center aligned and more appealing. So go for the design which is going in the trend. Next thing you see, it is a browser wide website, right? It is on the whole page of the browser, and if you see, this is the center wide, right? So this is the adaptation. Basically page content typically are centered and configured based on the percentage. So we are using the percentage like width such as 80%. So it is going to give you a benefit if you run this web page either on the mobile or the tablet or desktop or the laptop. It is going to have the 80% width of any of the device because we are using the percentage. Make sure that. So when you are designed for the mobile web, basically we have some techniques which we need to take care of it. But here's the one thing that we are not designing separately for the mobile, or we are not designing separately for the desktop or the laptop or the tablet. We are using one kind of website we are going to prepare in a way that which is going to work on each platform, and this is known as responsive web design technique. So here is the checklist when you are designing for the mobile, that you are designing, you need to take a few points. The one thing that you are designing for a small screen, a mobile screen is a small screen. And the second thing is the bandwidth issue. Maybe you do not have a good bandwidth, and when you are designing for the mobile, it should be a single column. You remember few minutes before I told that your website should not have single column website, either should have 2 or 3 column. It should not go more than 3, right? But when it comes to a small device, like we are talking about the mobile, or we're talking about the smaller size of the tablet, so it should go only on the one column layout website. Work on the maximize contrast when you're working on the small screen. Optimize images when you are using it, and use the images if you need it, the required images. You cannot have the same amount of images you are using on the bigger size of the screen. you cannot have the same amount of images on the smaller screen. Remember that. So try to avoid to display of non-essential content. If I'm talking about the images, you have uh, 10 images on a bigger screen, so you should avoid the number of images and you should consider only the required images on this small screen size of platform. Always your images should have a descriptive alternate text for your images. So as we talk about the responsive one, like if your website is working on all kind of devices, that means you are using your responsive web design. So here is the best web design practices that we talk about. We already talk about the page layout. We already talk about the browser compatibility. We already talk about the navigation and the color graphics. We talk about the multimedia. We discussed about the content presentation, functionality, and accessibility, right? So you just need to take care of all of these one by one when you are designing the web pages. You should consider all of them. So here are the same thing we already had discussed all these things, like what are the best design practices and checklist notes. So I will ask you to read all of them and keep in your mind when you are going to design a website or a final project. Your case studies are kind of guided case studies, so instructions are already given on your case studies and then you are reading and you are doing it. But when you are going to design your final project, you really have to take care of all these. So here they're talking about the page layout, best practices, and here the browser compatibility best practices that we talk about. Here is the navigation bar and the color and graphics practices, and here is about the multimedia, and here about the content presentation, here the functionality and the accessibility. So we had discussed all of them. That's it. Thank you so much.